I've been working on a video about Spec Ops Rangers Lead the Way, the first game in the Spec Ops series that just got a reboot this year. Rangers Lead the Way kicked off the tactical shooter genre in 1998, a genre that didn't really exist before then. I say didn't really because there was a game, 1993's SEAL Team, that could be considered a prototypical tactical shooter. It has a lot more in common though with the simulation games that were popular in the late 80s and early 90s, the ones that were all about driving Abrams battle tanks, like Abrams Battle Tank, or flying Comanches, like Comanche. In SEAL Team, you drive a SEAL team. That's just crazy enough to make sense, isn't it? Since it's on a smaller scale than most simulation games, and because the gameplay is somewhat similar to Spec Ops and the other tactical shooters that poofed into existence in 1998, I'd call SEAL Team the missing link between simulation games and the modern tactical shooter. The reason I'm talking about SEAL Team today is because I'd like you to know what I'm talking about when I reference it in the Spec Ops review, and I won't have time to cover it there. So let's climb inside the cockpit of our SEAL Team and get started. SEAL Team comes in a cool old lift-off top box. I miss those kinds of boxes more than I can describe to you right now. The box art is fairly attractive, with nice big screenshots on the back and a photo of some SEALs on the front. Inside the box is the game on 2 high-density floppies, a super hefty manual, and a large piece of cardboard just to take up space. The manual is a nice throwback to the days when games used every last centimeter of the keyboard and had no in-game tutorials. In other words, the Dark Ages. Pretty damn cool though, with almost 150 pages of stuff, including tons of photographs of real US Navy SEALs doing US Navy SEAL things in Vietnam, excerpts from books about US Navy SEALs doing US Navy SEAL things in Vietnam, and tips and instructions for making your own virtual US Navy SEAls do virtual US Navy SEAL things in virtual Vietnam. My favorite part, not surprisingly, is the guns section, the only part I read all the way through. Unless you have time to read the whole 150 pages and commit it all to memory, the useful part is the very last page, which is the keyboard reference. I like reference cards, like the ones that came with the MechWarrior games, or even the one for Delta Force, which is supposed to fit on a keyboard, but doesn't really do that anymore. SEAL Team starts with some cool music which you can listen to while looking at the credits and a picture of this guy. At the main menu, you can start a campaign or just play instant missions, which is pretty standard for games in the simulation genre like Earthsiege and MechWarrior. When you start a campaign, you pick from 4 available years with 4 recruits each. Each steel has different skills and different preferred camo, like this guy who wears the age-old tactical favorite, blue jeans. You can also just pick the year based on which boot camp song you like the best.
I don't know, but I've been told. I don't know, but I've been told. A broad man's money is good as gold.
You get to choose your nickname too, and I guess you could get pretty creative, or you could name yourself Butt. Who knows what a SEAL has to do to earn the nickname Butt? Before each mission is an overview with a regional map for context and some tips from your commanding officer. After that is an in-depth mission briefing that helps orient you for the mission and reminds you of the sequence of objectives. As in any good tactical shooter, you can pick your team's equipment before you go and customize it to your heart's content. You have 4 weapon slots and 2 tool slots and a huge variety of weapons and equipment to choose from. Rifles like the M16 and AK-47, the M60 and Stoner 63 light machine guns, frag, smoke, phosphorus, and tear gas grenades, and gear like medkits for healing wounds, and the prisoner handling kit for capturing Viet Cong who surrender. You're limited in what you take by weight, which in turn limits how fast you move, I think. I'm not sure. The answer might be in the manual, but I'm not that motivated to find it. The SEALs have a bowl session before they depart for the mission, where they give you some combat tips. Then you can watch a cinematic of your team inserting, or choose to abort and insert somewhere else in order to confuse the enemy. I'm never sure of the pros and cons of reinserting, so I never do it. Taken out of context, that last sentence sounds strangely arousing. Anyway, SEAL Team is played from the first and third person perspective. When in combat, you can use the first person mode to lock onto targets and be generally more effective with your shooting. When moving from place to place, the third person mode lets you see your squad and your surroundings better. Right-clicking the mouse or pressing the M key brings up the tactical map, which you can use to give orders to your team, set waypoints and view objectives, and call in support from friendly units. This is one of the coolest things about SEAL Team. The infantry combat itself isn't spectacular, slow-paced in the usual military simulator way, but calling in support units is awesome. You have support on almost every mission and can call it in at any time for a gun run, extraction, or just a look around. There are helicopters, planes, and of course the boat you rode in on. Having all the support at your command means you can take whatever approach to the mission you damn well feel like. Personally, I like calling in the chopper support early and often, and even using them to extract instead of walking all the way back to the coastline to get on the boat. But then again, I really like helicopters. You can also enact a realistically vicious scorched earth policy and blow up every hooch and bunker you come across, but you'll get more points if you manage to get some prisoners and, you know, don't torch civilian hamlets my lifestyle. Controlling SEAL Team can be difficult at first since the whole keyboard is used, but once you get used to what commands you like to use and what you don't need, it becomes more natural. It can be controlled entirely with the keyboard, but there is mouse support, and turning with the mouse is way more fluid than using the arrow keys. Even after I got used to playing the game, it was still freaking hard. Just like other simulation games, Earth Siege, I'm looking at you, SEAL Team is very unforgiving. If your point man gets killed, not only is the mission over, so is the campaign. You can restore saved campaigns, but it's still tough. What's worse, I think I was getting killed by my own support units. Karmic retribution for my abuse of helicopter support, I guess. There are difficulty options which you can tweak to fit your playstyle, including turning off damage to your character, which is the only way I've found to make this game easy. Unlimited ammo and meat sim level AI skills don't make SEAL Team any less difficult. We should also talk about the technical details. I wasn't playing video games in 1993, unless you count rubbing my sticky fingers all over a Game Boy, so I can't tell you how it looked at the time. But in retrospect, I think it's damn good looking. There's a truckload of foliage and trees, and cool effects like bugs flying around and ripples in water. Combat effects are equally cool, and seeing tracers arc towards your target is awesome. There's a mix of vector graphics used through the levels, trees, and vehicles, and sprites for characters and effects, and it works well. You can toggle the detail level of the graphics for smoother performance, but I put up with the performance hit, even in DOSBox, for fancier graphics. The sound design doesn't stand out too much, but there are some nice suspenseful tracks and basic gunshot effects. The best part is probably digitized speech, both in the menus and the actual game. Emulating SEAL Team isn't difficult. It runs in DOSBox, but performance is sluggish. I found that setting DOSBox to about 30k cycles provided the best performance. Anything above or below is slow and choppy. If you've got an old DOS-capable machine, I'd love to hear how it runs on that, but DOSBox is good enough. So is SEAL Team any good? Or more importantly, is it collectible? I would say yes, it definitely is if you're into sim games, just don't expect it to be the tactical shooter as we know it today. I'd give SEAL Team a 7 out of 10 on the collectability index, which may be a little high given that it's not the most fun to play, but the authenticity of the game's setting and design and the importance to gaming history make it worth owning. That's it for now. See you guys next time.